Hello, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting of Milton Plan Commission for Tuesday, April 24th to order. And the first item is the roll call.
Paulson?
Yep.
Hubbard?
Here.
Farrar?
Yeah.
Reed?
Yes.
Dorn?
Here.
Olson?
Here.
6 present and absent is Cindy Zellers.
Okay. So the first item is the minutes, the
Sir.
approval of the minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, the motion is to approve the minutes. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes. So the next item on the agenda is the design review for southern facade of new aggregate storage building for Lycon Incorporated. Mark, you're taking it?
Yeah. I'm trying to get this uploaded, or connected to our display, but it's not working yet. I apologize. So this is before you tonight because at your March 13th meeting, the Plan Commission granted conditional use approval to allow construction of the structure, but it was conditioned on the final building design being approved by the Plan Commission. And after consulting with Lycon and their representatives, Bill White, who's also here, and also the Arts Committee. The Arts Committee is interested in having this, in having a public art project on that facade. And so, at the same time, Lycon is very interested in getting their building permit to move forward with the, starting work with the foundation and building the building. And so what I am recommending tonight is to have the Plan Commission give final approval to the project, recognizing that the final design will be approved by the Arts Committee for the artwork, for the artistic enhancements of the southern elevation. That way we can keep the art, the purview of the art falls under the Arts Committee and keep it there, recognizing that they are committed to doing the art enhancement.
So the rendering which you have here now, are they any close to what it might be, or?
We don't know what it is. I could have explained that. Sorry about that. So on April 12th, the Arts Committee discussed potential options for the public art installation with regard to visibility, the appropriateness for the site, longevity, materials, and cost. And they agreed to discuss this matter further at their May meeting. But we are uncomfortable at least issuing the building permit with this contingency that the Plan Commission give final approval. So we wanted the Arts Committee. The point is the structure and the design of the overall structure has, we want the Plan Commission to endorse that.
Yeah.
And have the artistic enhancement be under the purview of the Arts Committee.
So in other words, they can get their
So,
building
right.
permit
They can get the
now
start work.
and get started.
There was a question, I think, at one point, whether the Arts Committee would even consider this to be an appropriate site for an art installation, and they are receptive and want to pursue that further.
Okay. Any questions for Mark?
What?
Yes, Dennis, and then David.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, go ahead.
No, Dennis, you were first, and then David. So-
Okay. So, can you tell us a little bit about the history of how the Arts Committee got involved in this?
It was through emails between myself, Abby, and the applicant. Abby, who's not able to be here tonight, she staffs the Arts Committee. And so, that's the history. I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah, it was something that we felt, if there's going to be art, obviously the Arts Committee has to be involved, and they indicated their interest to be involved.
Well, I guess I'd just like to offer the opinion that I'm not interested. And I think it's not a particularly visible area that's going to affect much of anything, and I think that the poured concrete looks just fine as it is. So that's my opinion.
David,
My comment was that the cost of doing this would be on the applicants, right?
Yes. They, they're
When
going
you say contingent upon the approval by the Arts Committee, it's just approving something that is put forward by the applicant. the applicant?
Well, it will be through agreement between the applicant and the Arts Committee. Obviously, if this is something that costs $1 million, I presume they wouldn't be interested. So it will be something that's reasonable. I can't speak to Lycon's position on it, as well as the representatives here from Lycon. They are here if you have questions for them.
Can you tell me what the striping material is?
I'm sorry, what is?
The striping material,
The material on the top of the wall. Vertical stripes.
Corrugated metals.
On the,
Yeah, I see it, I have it here. Does one of you want to come up and, yeah?
yeah, go ahead.
The banding is basically sheet metal,
Corrugated.
gable fascia.
Yeah, panels, yeah.
Red sheet metal trim. And the other buildings, it would be paint and existing fascias. Sheet metal. All buildings are
Thank you. Understand what's wrong?
Any other question, David or Dennis?
It's got
Is this very similar to what we discussed?
Okay. So we have to go down here.
It is.
Is, it's the very same thing, okay.
What was the question?
which apartment building, Trista?
And the baseball diamonds.
Oh, the material, not the art. Okay,
Oh, no.
okay.
It's in trouble.
So this material is similar to that? Yes, yes, Kurt. Right,
Oh, I think we're still discussing the materials, so,
yes.
No, I'm done.
oh, you did,
I just wanted to know what
Is
it
this
was.
being held up because of the art? I mean,
Yes.
is that-
So if the plan commission tonight will
But
say
this has been
yes,
pushed
then
to-
they can go ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you later.
Okay,
call the
Yes,
city
Kurt.
engineer to fix the technology. That was gonna be my question, is,
thanks.
how is this building design different than what we've already looked at?
It's not,
It's not, so we're, in essence, just giving the go-ahead for them to start building,
right.
and, go ahead.
Other projects like this, do we ask for art, or has that happened in the past recently? Or was it something that the owner brought forward?
We-
I think it
This,
was-
yeah, my staff report indicated a concern with the large facade, the 35-foot high facade visible from Terrace Avenue. We don't, it's obviously there aren't windows, there aren't, the usual, what we would normally see with fenestration and doors and decorative roof or whatever we don't see in this project. And so that's where the idea of trying to enhance the southern elevation facing Terrace came from.
And also Kathy, there was a complaint or note from Seco Foods.
That's true, yeah.
Right,
Well,
but I'm
they-
not sure that's what they were complaining.
Well, like Seiko, they're doing an addition and nobody said, oh, wait, we want art on this, or, I just
Well, I think
Architecturally.
Seiko wanted the whole
pulled up
whole
the,
building down.
yeah. But I'm just saying, how do we determine which owners have to go work with the Arts Committee and which one doesn't? I think it should be the owner's preview to decide if they
Yeah.
want to.
Well, in this case, there was a conditional use permit, and one of the concerns when issuing a conditional use permit is how does it fit into the context of the site, the area around it.
Well, okay, I was gonna say, that's kind of what I'm speaking to, is that every building that this thing is facing is exactly what we're looking at.
Is industrial in it.
Well, it's all.
Manufacturing.
Stand up, yeah. Built
Did
place.
we attach this as a condition to the conditional use?
The minutes, actually, I didn't quote the minutes, I guess, but I paraphrased them here, and it says that the Plan Commission granted conditional use approval, recognizing that this project, subject to final building design being approved by the Plan Commission. That's all that was in the motion. And then recognizing the project will not increase noise or dust, and lighting must comply with the city's ordinance. That's paraphrasing the motion that was
Okay.
adopted.
And I would make a motion that the,
I got a comment.
yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Lee.
As far as materials go, is the art committee familiar with how form liners work, Mark? Are you aware?
I'm not aware what they are familiar with. You said form liners?
Form liners, liners that go inside a concrete form. That could be the art itself,
That's a good,
could be put into a form liner.
that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, that is, you're right, yeah.
So I would, if they're gonna look at some kind of art, it's only about $4 to $6 a square foot, depending on what you put inside the form. So it'd be a way to keep the cost down and get your art that you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
Concrete, on a concrete plan, you know, and I think that that's,
I mean, it
That's good thinking.
really could help them, dress it up and, show their product off a little bit better even.
That's nice.
And not spend arm and legs, so.
Good
Any
idea.
other questions or comments?
Now, all they could have done a great landscaping job along that edge. I mean, the 6 lollipop trees and the 2, 4, 6, 8 evergreens, where did they come from? Right, was there some idea behind doing it and screening that? I don't know. Doubt it.
Trying to soften it a little bit, but that's just, it looks like random tree placement.
Chum, chum, chum,
Yeah,
chum.
there's a lot of design there.
And that's the side that faces Seiko?
It is.
Okay, yeah. Do they still have to submit a landscape plan to staff for approval?
Here are the minutes from, my opinion is no, but the minutes from March 13th, moved by Reed, seconded by Paulson, approve the conditional use permit subject to final, it's basically just, and I didn't even paraphrase it. I just didn't put it in quotes. So that's what we have to work with. I had a series of comments in the staff report back then, which I did not include in your packet this time, because I thought the outstanding issue was to approve the facade, not anything else. So the answer, I view the landscaping plan as complete.
And Dennis, I would also suggest that this concrete wall is not the same as what's going on over at Seiko. It might be similar materials, but theirs has a lot more style to it. A lot more design involved in Seiko's building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's more than a concrete wall and sheet metal on top.
I know, but they all look like concrete walls. I mean, I know what you're saying,
Okay.
but they are, because of the lack of windows and other sorts of things, they are essentially concrete walls. I don't know, Leaf, I'm not sure that I know what you were talking, what this
the form
product.
liner?
Yeah. What is the
Well,
form?
you have concrete forms,
Yep,
and then inside those forms, you can put designs
Yeah.
or impressions. I could have brought you a dozen examples.
well, that's what we kind of wanted the future foam people to do. And we.
That was the stamped concrete issue?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it's not stamped concrete,
It's
though.
not the same.
No, but it's
It's
the
a
same
liner that
idea.
goes inside
It's
a
the same
form that
idea.
creates the shape that you're looking for.
Right, yeah. But it's still all gonna be gray.
Doesn't have to be.
Could be
Stained.
stained, yeah.
And add another $1 to $2 a square foot, but yeah, it could be stained.
So it is speedier than the stamped concrete then?
Pardon me?
It is speedier or is it,
There's a lot more flexibility.
okay, any other questions or comments? So Kurt, you were gonna make
Yeah, I
a
was
motion?
gonna move to grant final design approval with the recognition that the Arts Committee will approve the artistic enhancements of the southern elevation.
Okay, need a second,
Seconded.
okay? Any,
Would you accept with the landscape plan to be approved by staff?
Staff understands that landscape plan is already finished.
But, whatever,
Sure, subject to
if you want.
approval of a landscape plan by staff. Add that to my motion.
okay, so the motion is to approve this with those two conditions. Any other question or any other
Well, it's-
further discussion?
Since it's not a PDD, it'd have to just conform with the standard landscape ordinance. So,
And maybe there'll be landscaping integrated with the art. I think it's I don't see any harm in adding that. I would imagine that the applicant would be okay with that. We'll work collaboratively with them and the Arts Committee. up with a suitable solution.
I'm sure staff will do a great job, so. Okay, then I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes 5-1. Next is city engineer report regarding alternative to the chip sealing city streets. Sean? Since you are here, and I will just say that I was in Monona today. I met their mayor and the city engineer, and then they drove me around all over the city. And they have been doing the microsurfacing since 2015. So they used different material in 2015, and the material which they use now, 2016 and 17, is somewhat superior, and this is what they're going to continue to use. And so what I saw there was that it's very nice and smooth surface, and yeah, looks pretty good. Then also the Middleton Airport was micro-surfaced 2 or 3 or at least less than 5 years ago. And I also went and looked at that airport runway as well, and of course the runway has to be smooth, and it looks very good. So I was there was some area which were toward the ends which got scraped by the snowplow, but that can happen with any material. So that's what I have done so far. So you want to provide more details, Sean?
I'm here largely because there was a request for a brief report from the city engineer.
Yes.
While the plan commission was discussing the 5-year improvement program. So I came here with a brief report to talk about pavement improvements.
Let's hear it.
Historically, what we've done included slurry seal. We had found that its durability was suspect, largely because it's a more rigid asphalt, right? So if you put it over a road that exhibits cracking, it alligators back, which leads to delamination, which leads to powdering, which leads to people tracking it into their living room, which rings my phone. So we transitioned to a chip seal product, which is also very thin. It's in the ballpark of 3/8 of an inch thick. This is a surface treatment designed to fill very minor cracks, lock the aggregate in, and resist water infiltration. Both of them. So if we do a slurry seal or if we do a chip seal, it really doesn't matter. They have the same goal in mind. When we did chip seal, of course, its initial problem is that there's loose aggregate over the tar coating that we spray, because it's a 2-step application process. You put down the asphalt emulsion, and then you try to press aggregate into it. Within a day or so, we sweep up the majority of excess aggregate. Within the next few weeks, additional chips become loose and it needs sweeping again. Within a few months, it tends to become a pretty good surface as well, in terms of drivability, smoothness, those sorts of factors even out. Because it's more flexible, it's not as prone to reflective cracking and delamination as slurry seal. So we migrated away from slurry seal and said, let's chip seal. I understand that that has some negative implications too in neighborhoods, and we knew that going in. Microsurfacing, I think, cures quicker than the slurry seal that we had used in the past. It has a much faster set time, but it also is a fairly rigid asphalt that gets put down. So if our roads are not sound to begin with, we should expect the issue of reflective cracking to reappear. When we talked with Monona, we found their bid prices. They were very, very good to work with in terms of sharing information with us, because they were the only ones that we had found that have done microsurfacing in the area. And we found that their bid prices last year are about 60% higher than our bid prices for chip seal last year. And again, you know, if you're looking at the initial aesthetics of the product, microsurfacing is far better. From what we've seen in research, microsurfacing has a longer lifespan to some degree. and it has a higher cost associated with it. So what we did, Sean Ellsroot, one of our engineering technicians that does the majority of project management on our pavement program, put together this memo. He also put together a listing of roads in priority order for what we intend to do this year with the budget allocation for pavement maintenance, which is mostly just crack filling, but not covering it right away with a chip seal. And whether that's chip seal or microsurfacing is still up in the air. We're gonna bid it both ways and see how that goes. Maybe our experience will be different than Monona's, but at least we'll find out. So in priority order, most of it is gonna be crack filling with a rubberized material. And then we laid out, based on bid prices from last year, we think we could do chip seal on 5 roads or microsurfacing on 3 roads. Again, that's gonna depend a little bit on bid prices and how much crack filling has to be done, but we'll balance that at the staff level. Questions?
I have a question about chips. I mean about microsurfacing. If the road is not that good, right? Microsurfacing doesn't do any good, right?
Neither one really is our friend for something like that. And we've tried, when budgets were very, very thin, we tried just covering over the severe ugly with something that, it's paint,
Not
right?
structural.
Yeah, it's
You
not-
know, when we get right down to it, this is very, very thin stuff. So neither one is the right choice there. And despite having tried, as expected, we failed.
So Kurt, you answer your question, I asked the same thing to Monona folks there. So microsurfacing does care of the minor defects. So, but if there's a major thing, I guess pothole, that's going to have to fix it. But if it's small cracks or those areas, they say the microsurfacing is much better in taking care of those issues. So, and the other question was the contractors. So at least I found 2 of them. One is in Wanakee, another is in DeForest, and so I think if we had more people who are doing microsurfacing, the prices will come down. So McFarland is going to start, at least they're looking into this year. And so I'm in the process of talking to Dane County and City of Madison and see where that goes. So I think the prices are higher because, they don't really have too many cities where they can go out and do that stuff. And you got to buy the equipment and got to make living. So I think if this whole area was doing it, then the cost will come down. So, any other questions to Sean?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
Why are we as a plan commission talking about this to start with?
Right.
Public Works discussion than us?
Oh, and I'll add, Public Works gave staff direction last night. We'll bid it both ways.
So anyways, that was just an observation.
Good observation, Leaf.
On the chip seal, is there dust issues? Can there be?
There have been with the boiler slag that we've been using, that product tends to have dust. That source of supply, I understand, is pretty much dried up. One contractor still has a line on some, but we're gonna shift to bidding out a granite.
Okay. So that would be, I know you're looking at dollars and cents. Got that. But I was just wondering if there's some other things that aren't taken into consideration in dollars and cents. Dust is one of them. I'm thinking about windshields, things like that. Do we have any of those problems where we're getting cracked windshields and things like that from the gravel chips?
We don't get a lot of complaints in terms of physical damage. We've had some complaints where people drive past the fresh tar signs and find out that it's true. But for the most part,
That's your fault, not their fault. I just throw that out there to know that in other situations, there were definitely some windshield issues. Not here in the city of Middleton, but some other situations I've been involved in. So, Okay.
I have heard about the tire, the car paints, and people's carpet in their homes where they, all those granules are going in their house, so.
So it could
Anyone
boil-
else?
Could be boiled down to an air quality issue as well. but-
Yep, yep.
Yeah, from what we've heard, the granite is less dusty than the slag.
Yeah.
It seems like one of those issues where collaborating with other people that are doing it would really make a lot of sense.
I agree. You can't do everything alone. I think the whole county should be collaborating on some of it to lower the cost and also learning from each other. And I'm
It
trying.
really is just buying you time. Eventually, the roads deteriorate.
Absolutely.
And not
This is
much.
a relatively low-cost, short-term pavement prolongation. That's all it is.
This is just the update. Any other questions for Sean? A lot of citizens hate it because they just say, just take paint stuff like Leaf said too, and then.
Well, they don't
lot
like
of
the chip
issues
seal,
come.
but they don't like the cracking in the potholes either.
Yes, yes.
The sign says, stay off, so, I mean,
Okay, thank you, Sean. So the next one is
Sean,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
item number 4.
Thank you for your help.
Design review, outdoor seating area, sidewalk cafe at Grape Water, 7466 Hubbard Avenue.
And Mark has this.
Mark,
So the sketch is a little rudimentary, but it still gives an adequate idea of where the 3 tables will be. 2 of them would be in front of Choette, the adjoining business, and they have, from what I have heard from the applicant, have signed off on it. I am recommending in the staff comment that there be a final verification that the adjacent tenant does not object to the table placement. So our staff recommendation is to grant design approval contingent on the furniture being located entirely on or over the street terrace 2 feet from the curb face and not encroaching upon the sidewalk, with the other contingency I mentioned.
That'd be my motion,
Excellent.
just as
Alright.
you outlined it. Do check to make sure it's okay.
Yeah, I have no reason to believe it isn't, but we will
Yep.
double check. So
That's my motion,
okay.
with everything else you
Need
said.
a second.
second,
Okay, questions? Kathy?
When Choette moves out and there's a new tenant, what will be the process if they do not want the seating on the sidewalk?
That occurred to me as well. I think what I will do is have the applicant sign an acknowledgement that this could be that those tables might have to be relocated if a tenant does not, if a new tenant does not support having those in front of their.
Okay, I understand Grape Water, they'd only have tables for one spot, and it would be nice to be able to sit there. When they're serving alcohol, how far away from their property should we allow that?
That is a sidewalk cafe permit regulation that is monitored by and enforced by the clerk, with the police department, I think, is involved too, or not, Chuck?
L&O.
L&O, well, right, that's what I mean, the L&O is staffed by the police department. So, okay, so
What do you mean?
License and ordinance oversees the issuance of the sidewalk cafe permit license, the alcohol in sidewalk
Oh,
cafe.
okay, there's already a ordinance about sidewalk cafes. Is there anything in it about you can have alcohol served in front of other properties?
I'm sorry, I can't answer that. That's not in our purview, that I'm aware of.
Keith or Susan, you want to address anything?
Well,
Well, but if-
but the sidewalk, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
The sidewalk cafe is, these sidewalk cafes and terraces are not on private property either.
No, but I mean, if you drew a line out from the
Right.
dividing line between the two businesses, I don't remember seeing, so for example, in front of the Mexican restaurant in Middleton Hills, they don't go over in front of the nail salon.
The Village Green has spilled over to the west before, not since the buildings were removed, but they actually did have some of their tables going to the west slightly. So that might be a precedent, but whether that was officially sanctioned by licensed ordinance and through our sidewalk cafe permit, I can't answer that.
plan of what it is.
No, I understand.
If we approve the design review, and if they don't approve the sidewalk cafe permit, then it's
Yeah.
moot,
I-
yeah.
The chief made a good suggestion. I think the recommendation, if you would add the adherence to the license and ordinance approval, that has to happen either way, but there could be some reference made linking the two.
So do you want to actually send it to
That sounds
Eleanor?
good.
So this would only be if the adjacent tenant approves. And they have checked with them, so if a new tenant comes in, they have to get their approval again from that tenant.
Well, or if the new tenant says, why are they located in front of my business, then that would trigger a review.
If we have a sidewalk cafe permit ordinance, why do we even do design review? It's.
I think it just
it's
gives, I think it grants the plan commission the authority to do the design review
Right.
for it, just to.
Design
make sure
review.
it's-
And as far as I see, the design review is, here's an X on a,
I know.
There's gonna be a table
It
there.
It wasn't my preference either. I asked them for a little more description. They said they were gonna have.
Be a table there.
Decorative tables, and then I asked them about umbrellas, and that's why I mentioned in my staff comment, there would be a striped, was it black and white? I don't remember if what did I not put that? Oh, there it is, black and white striped umbrella. So I know it wasn't quite what I was hoping for, but with the description, I was comfortable with it.
That got some issues, right?
It's,
Especially, would it be setting a precedent, having in front of the, actually authorizing in front of the other person's property?
Well, there's a tree, as I recall, there's a tree there that's in front of, that takes up some of the room where a second table could be. Obviously, the tree is there and is not going to be moved, so, or maybe it was a planter, I'm sorry, I can't remember which. So Shawette is comfortable with it. These sidewalk cafes have added to the vibrancy of our downtown. I don't think it's a problem unless the adjoining tenant has a concern, and so we'll deal with that.
Okay. What do you guys feel? Any other questions? Are you ready to vote then? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes, all right.
Another outdoor seating
Yes,
case.
this one is on private property, it's down at Cayuga. They're proposing to move a bike rack and also take out a tree, and the recommendation was to approve, but with the understanding that they would need to have the place where the bike rack is being moved approved, and also suggest the replacement tree location, and also have landlord approval.
Okay,
I'll make the motion for approval, just as Eileen has outlined.
Second. Oh,
okay, any
Go ahead, Dennis.
questions or discussion? In this case, one tree will be removed, which is about 15-year-old,
But it'll be replaced too, they'll have to replace it. and-
with a similar size.
Unlikely.
They make a good margarita, from what I've heard.
From what you've heard, yeah.
How many have you sampled?
Anyway.
So are you guys happy with this? Okay, Yes, Kathy.
It's just, I have no problem with this, but it's like down at Lakeview when there was a tree in the way and how that tree, we can't move trees, we can't move trees. And now
That was on Parkland
Yeah,
too, and this
yeah,
is private,
yeah.
so,
I guess, I don't have a problem with it.
David, you have some questions?
No, sarcastic comment, but I will ignore it.
All right.
That might be a first.
All those in favor of the motion for the outdoor seating area sidewalk for Mexican restaurants at 1900 Cayuga Street, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Yes. Next one is design review revisions Jefferson Fire and Safety, 7617 Donna Drive.
And the architect is here if we have any questions.
Yes.
like this application. And I know it's a minor change, but I brought it here because there's so much happening in that area, and there is some landscaping that's being removed. And
Why is it a design review? It's
it's
in
design
the,
review
it's in
because
the
it's a structural.
It's in a GDP?
No, it's a straight B3, but we have design review for any site or structural development or changes in a B3, so,
On a B3, okay.
so that's why it's here, but, it's a larger garage door, which otherwise, if that had been the only change, I would have said, yeah, I'm gonna approve it as staff, but then some landscaping's being removed. They still have a lot of landscaping on the site, and John may be able to speak to that, but.
John, you want to say anything?
Which driveway is being enlarged, I'm sorry? Or is there only one?
Okay, John is going to show his art now, so.
And you do have something at your seat that has a little bit clearer picture.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John Dano with TZO. And the area that we're talking about is off Medina Drive, and it's for Jefferson Fire. Jefferson Fire is a fourth-generation company that's been in the Middleton area for the last 25 years. They've been in business for 70. And their business has continued to grow, and as part of that, they need to find a bigger and better facility. Lo and behold, it was across the street. But as part of that, and as the equipment that they are using is growing and becoming more technical, they needed a place to do repairs for these larger trucks. So that is why this garage door, which looks like it had been framed into a smaller opening over time, if you look at the sketch that's on your drawing, it looks like it had been reduced in size.
Yeah, that one.
And what we're proposing to do is open it back up so that they can back these large fire trucks in for service. These trucks have outriggers and ladders that extend out, and they're not tiny or delicate, they're big. So we need a bigger garage door. And what we're proposing to do is on the southwest part of the building, remove some existing landscaping that's about on its tail end. It's fairly overgrown. There is some substantial landscaping on the site. The remaining asphalt that's in that area, we're not going to microplane or chip seal. We're going to get rid of it and put concrete in.
Good solution.
And you're not actually increasing the driveway apron at the
No,
street?
no, we're not doing anything there. No. So we're just looking to remove some landscaping that looks like it's on its tail end and just make a bigger drive and an overhead door.
I'm over approval with revised landscape plan.
Approved by staff.
Second.
Okay, any questions now?
You're still using Windows 7, I mean.
Any questions, Dave?
Like you're just shaving about 3 feet.
We are actually increasing the drive aisle by about 11 feet.
11 feet, okay.
If you look on sheet A 1.1, there is a drawing sheet in the bottom right-hand corner of A11.
Okay.
Sheet right here.
Mm-hmm.
Floor plan.
Okay.
And you will see that there is a dimension, well, if you have really good eyes, you can make it. But we're removing about 11 feet of landscape and replacing it
Scroll
with
lock is-
concrete apron.
Scroll lock.
So is there any landscaping left on that side of the driveway?
Has a mind of its own. It's not
We're proposing
not
to
doing
do
anything.
that.
I think if I hold it too long,
There's an
it'll
existing
just
sidewalk on the side which we are maintaining. But it's even tough to find that walkway right now because the landscaping is just more over that.
And so this use is
It's
permitted in a
permitted.
B3, yeah. No problem.
Any other questions?
Yeah, there are five parking spaces there, right, to the left of the pavement. Could they be taken over and reused for landscaping?
No, they can't because only half of those parking stalls are on our property. It's a shared parking stall area. The other half's on the neighbor's land.
Any other questions? Yes, Dennis? You have, okay.
Ready to vote.
So David, are you okay?
No, but I don't have any choice.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, then all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, so the next one is what used to be a former Quaker Steak and Lube. This is the specific implementation plan modification for signage and facade changes, Point Burger Bar, formerly Quaker Steak and Lube on 2259 Deming Way.
I'm not sure anybody's here for this one. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The
So you want to
applicant's
say
here.
anything?
Sorry, I didn't see you.
I don't check my email.
Hello.
Hi.
Brian Ward couldn't be here tonight, so I'm kind of shepherding this to hand it off to Brian. Brian's best friend, Davey Nelson, the former Brewers announcer, his very best friend passed away, so that's why I'm here, just to answer any questions I possibly can.
A staff comment that Mark had added was just a little bit of concern about the size of the logo, and that it looked a little bit like it was crowding that area.
On the east side,
Yeah, this round one.
that's actually smaller than the Quaker Steak and Lube current.
I thought so was.
Yeah.
actually,
But it's
Yeah.
not, Quaker Steak is more text. In my view, this seems bigger, but.
But you are taking some stuff down on the.
So the top, they want the sides that are on the east side and the kind of northeast facing and southwest facing sides, those are going away. So those text lines are going away. All the neon around the building, except for the very top, is going away. So no more cracks about the big green neon.
That should look nice.
I like that.
What about the green wings and?
All that's gone. Anything, that's all gone.
Well, and
it's
you do
red,
have
white, and-
less signage
Yeah, they
there
do have
than-
less signage.
than
Yeah,
what
that's
is
fine.
there right now.
They're kind of just winging it.
Oh.
Not at 250 a
Well, we're
pound
gonna have to
anymore.
do it off the property.
When does it, when does it switch over?
It's a lot of moving parts. You know, you have a lease to deal with. You have landlords that are from out of the state. And so they want to make sure that everything gets approved ahead of time with alcohol and with the look. And they just converted my New Berlin restaurant as well.
Right.
So
Yeah. I've been to that one.
Okay, with the building on the facade, on the front facade. Point Burger Bar on two other sides, just sort of floating in space. What are you trying to do with those signs?
that's just the name of the restaurant.
I understand it's the name of the restaurant. Who are you trying to point out the name of the restaurant to?
Well, when we went there 13 years ago, there wasn't anything there. And so when they made the restaurant face towards 14 and the entrances in the back, that was why there was a sign in the back.
To get there, you have to take a parking.
You have to go through a parking lot to get,
There's a lot of shared parking.
Yeah, you weave your way through Verizon and
This sign that's at the top on the screen, is that one you're referring to, David? What's on your screen? Well, it's on your screen.
Yeah, look at the screen there.
We don't have any, oh, it's not on, maybe.
Oh, well, that's, yeah.
the building actually has like 3 or 4 sides.
But
so
that
you can sign on each
faces,
side.
that faces the Beltline, for example.
Yeah, sorry, what does it face?
The highway,
the off-ramp.
the off-ramp?
The off-ramp.
Exactly.
I think, I'm certain that all the square footage of the signage is significantly less.
Yeah.
And I agree.
And anything that was, yellow is now red, and anything that's green is now blue. And they're not going to change, there's no more bike night, there's no more car cruising, So there won't be any, there won't be any noise.
I can tell you the food is really good, having been to other Point Burger bars. That's my expertise. is-
Also, you been to the other Point Burgers?
Yes.
Oh,
It's going to be very much like their Pewaukee location.
Yep.
They'll have a large game room inside. They'll have, the bar will still be where the bar is.
You got beer, you got burgers and TV.
The garage will
Really
still
don't
be.
need anything else.
They agreed to call it the garage, so.
place.
Okay,
Move approval, or did we already move?
no, we didn't. Need a second.
Second.
I mean,
Any-
subject to all the
Samples.
Staff
Samples.
satisfaction.
staff comments.
Okay, any questions? Dennis, David, Kathy, anyone? Okay, then the motion is approved, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes.
Unopposed.
Oh, okay, so 5-1. Okay, now we are on to item number 8. Specific implementation plan and design review for High Site Enterprises Office Building, 3252 Pleasant View Road. Who's gonna take it?
I will.
Eileen? Okay,
And this is a
Eileen.
request for the building and the building location and the civil plans, the overall landscaping plan and site plan would be brought in, probably for the June meeting, I think. They wanted to get the approval of the building started, so.
Do we normally approve like half of an SIP? Is that kind of what this is?
It's a partial
Okay,
SIP.
partial SIP.
It's been done before where there are things that are still outstanding and they wanted to at least get something approved, so.
But then, because the GDP's been approved, GIP.
Yeah,
so-
the GIP was approved 15 years ago or so
Oh.
this is
You
an
mean-
SIP then for this building and this use.
And then could they start getting a building permit with
No.
the approval today?
No,
Okay.
because they'd have to have everything nailed down before they did. So this is just giving them the assurance that, yeah, the building is fine. Maybe the placement, I know people have talked about the placement before. David might have some comments, but it's a partial SIP. It does not get them the approval for a building permit.
We're just looking
Is
for any
is this a
specific.
full commitment
So-
to the things that?
Because we've already given
Yeah, yes,
concept
Dennis.
approval.
It's non-binding.
So Dennis,
Right.
what's your question?
The things we're approving tonight are then set in stone, set in concrete, set in whatever.
Asphalt.
Yeah. Well, it would be likely whatever you approve, which might be the building placement and materials and architecture and massing, that would be, unless you gave a condition, maybe upon seeing the entire site or whatever.
So, like Kurt was saying, so if you were to bring the whole thing together at one time, what is the disadvantage of that?
Well, I didn't talk directly to him, but my guess is it's probably to do with ordering of materials and things.
So you guys want to address that? Some of the, Kurt was saying that why not bring the whole package and get it approved at one time?
Yeah, so I'm Eric Gebhardt from Epstein Ewan Architects, TC Lynn from Epstein Ewan Architects. Our client was really interested in making sure that they had the building design approved before we got too far along with other architectural aesthetics, things like the site that relate. So we were hoping to approve the building, its placement, the architecture of it. And then we are certainly going to be back here with our design team as we move forward. We're planning on submitting for the June 12th meeting, so we're not too far out. We're just having our consultants catch up.
Okay. Any
So-
questions?
So the use has been already approved on the
Yes.
GIP
Mhm.
and the square footage and all that. It's just the building placement?
It's
It was- We previously gave concept approval to.
Right. It's not in
Massing and scale,
Massing scale, yeah.
recognizing its significance.
Yeah.
Placement, architecture, massing and scale.
And how many jobs are gonna be located there?
One, just over 300, but the building's designed for 500 employees for 10-year growth.
I mean, which again is a real positive contribution to the city.
What is the tip part?
It's a positive contribution to the city.
Yeah, oh,
300
yeah.
300 jobs, it's,
Mm.
really shows the success of that area in terms of employment generation.
Okay, yes, David?
I have to declare an interest that I have met with the architects
Mhm.
and the clients and have reservations about the integration of landscape into the building and into the southern, I think it is north-north. It is, isn't it? Yes, on the southern entrance, the employee entrance. And we had a long discussion about those, and something might well change as it advances. But they're working in the right direction to sort of say, we are concerned about how the landscape fits in with this plan. They would like, as I suggested last time, to move it right up to the street.
To move what up? The building or the landscape?
The building right up to the street edge, but then explain why they couldn't do that.
Which street edge?
And the topography of the land, which convinced me of it, but
Yes.
then leaves this vast sea of parking that needs to be very carefully thought through. And fortunately, we have Ken Saki as the landscape architect.
Oh, okay.
Sitting in the audience, so I am pretty confident that something significant can be made to change this vast sea of parking.
Can you have any comments?
I'm just curious why.
I can say that we did take some of David's sketches that we had done together, given specific direction to Ken, and I am very confident that you'll see many of those things implemented in our landscape design submittal. We're really also going to be coming back for the signage as well, sightline and things like that. So we're really just trying to focus on the building itself. If there's any questions or any.
So David, do you have any issues other than the landscape plan?
Issues? No, I don't have
Oh,
issues with the
okay.
landscape plan, so long as it is,
And-
really helps that sea of parking.
And the building
We
design?
talked about signage and how important that is as an integral
This is
part of the
university.
design, not
I
as
mean,
an
airport road.
add-on at the
You're
end
gonna
of
have
it.
lots of
screen
screening here.
We'll come back with that at the next meeting, I think.
Okay, and how about the building design? You're okay?
I'm happy with the building design. They explained the logic or the evolution of it to me, and it's pretty neat.
Okay. How about anyone else?
I'm just curious why
Yes.
this one, the play area isn't higher than the rest of the building. It's every other McDonald's I've seen.
You're in the wrong one.
This one's our eyesight.
You're on the wrong building.
Eyesight.
Oh, sorry.
Who needs to give it?
I didn't read that carefully. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, the
No.
high side.
Completely out of order. Yes,
2020.
no, this, I like this
Perfect
one very
hindsight.
much.
That's small for me.
David, are you comfortable with this? Because I have not been able to see the integration of the building into the landscape, but if you're confident that that's gonna work, I'd be inclined to go along with what they're requesting tonight, but not seeing that, I'm concerned.
Right, so if we approve the building design, massing, and location, the landscaping plan will still come before us. If it doesn't satisfy you, then they couldn't get the building permit, they couldn't move forward.
Right.
So that's kind of a built-in contingency.
Yeah, but it does take away some flexibility. Like you say, I like the massing, I like where the building's being placed. That's where it's gonna be,
Yeah.
regardless of whatever landscaping you're gonna come up with. You know, now the landscaping becomes kind of trying to dress, it could be trying to dress something up that mistake was made at this point
Lipstick
in
on a pig,
juncture.
right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's the classic
I was gonna
landscape
use it, but I
architects.
decided not to at this point. And that's why I asked David if he's comfortable, because I have not seen how they're integrated. So
Yes, I'm comfortable with it.
you're comfortable with it. Thank you.
No, he said uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Oh, you're uncomfortable with it.
He is comfortable.
Comfortable.
Oh, all right, all right. So
Because-
there's a big change
because-
here, so.
Because there's been some
Because
discussion
of the
outside
landscape
of this.
architect and his, yeah, because
So-
Ken,
And that's why I relied on you, David, because I haven't been exposed to that discussion and not knowing what that discussion has been. But if I would rely on your level of comfort.
So you guys are getting the message that two of the commissioners are not, well, I mean, they are comfortable, but they have some concerns. And Ken, you are getting that message too, right? Okay, so,
yeah, particularly the concern is the parking lot and breaking up that sea of asphalt. The area to the west, That easement, that's those, that kind of forested part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
200 feet.
Is that the town property? That's the border?
Site challenging.
I don't think they are changing, right? That 200 feet.
I mean, we can ask them, but
We don't see a foreseeable
I don't see- yeah, I don't see it
resolution
changing,
in
but-
the near future,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, they have to get something to give you something, so I don't know what we can, going to give them, so. Okay, so any other questions? So are we ready, so the motion was made,
motion was made, just hasn't been voted on.
okay? So are we ready to vote?
Okay, the motion?
So Leaf, are you okay for now?
Honest David's okay.
Considering that Ken is listening and these guys are listening and otherwise they'd be in trouble, so. Okay, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so the motion passes unanimously with the understanding of the comments that you guys are gonna work on the landscape part of it, okay?
Now we're on McDonald's, Dennis.
Yes, now we are on to the fast food place.
I'm loving it, I tell you.
Okay, design review for site improvements, including building facade and signage, McDonald's, 2626 Allen Boulevard. Who's gonna take it?
I am.
Okay,
And,
Eileen.
Oh, maybe there's somebody here for them, I guess not. I thought there was
Anybody
somebody
from
here.
McDonald's here?
I guess not.
Okay, so
Oh,
you
there is
want to say
somebody.
something?
Hi, my name is Kevin Shea. I'm with Landform Professional Services. We are the Apple McDonald's on this site, and we are the engineers and planners for the site. I'm just here to answer on the site improvements.
I think I just recommended approval contingent on the resolution of staff or any plan commission comments, plus approval of staff for the sign package. And as I understand it, there's really not major changes to the sign package. It's gonna be pretty similar.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're waiting on.
Yep, yep.
I will make that motion. I mean, that you've outlined.
A second?
Okay, now the questions.
I still want to know why the playground
I don't know.
area is.
You want to know what?
Why the playground area isn't a bump out, as it is on every other McDonald's that I see.
McDonald's moving towards a uniform building height, so the highest elements on the site are supposed to be the parapet walls, which are the ones that have they're the ethos with the McDonald's M logo. So that's just the site design, or the building design they're going with for their new renovated buildings. You may have seen some in the area. They're trying to do all of them in a couple of years, so you'll see more in the area.
Okay, any other questions? David? Kathy? Leaf? Okay, so we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
So the motion passes. Thank you.
It looks nice.
And for number 10, Ahmed asked that his item be deferred.
Okay, so need a motion to defer.
Motion to defer. Second.
Okay, all those in favor to defer item number 10, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we are on to item number 11. Request for rezoning from Office District B1 to Plan Development District, General Implementation Plan, PDD, GIP, the addition of Stringer Developments, 6814, 6818, 6824 University Avenue. Who's taking it?
Me.
Mark?
First, we have received several registrations in the last few minutes. Once again, this thing is, there we go, it's scrolling without my involvement. This is not a public hearing tonight. We had the public hearing last meeting and then also in early March. But I wanted to make you aware that we have received 3 requests to speak and 2 in opposition and 2 requests to speak, 2 are registered in opposition. but it's not a hearing, so I presume
Okay.
you don't wish to open the hearing.
Okay,
I
thank you.
I assume you don't wish to entertain the speakers.
Okay, thank you. So you're going to
Can you-
present, Mark, or who is going to?
Can I just ask a procedural question? We sent this up to council.
Yeah, I can give some background.
Okay, you wanna-
And I'm
and-
sorry, I was
and they sent it back-
distracted by the presentation here.
So I just want to clarify that, we had two public hearings on this property, so people had a chance to speak at that time. So now it is only the staff and the commissioners, that's the city policies.
Yeah. So, Mayor and Plan Commission members, what's before you tonight, this is actually may come as a surprise to some of you because at the previous meeting, the Plan Commission voted 3-3 to make no recommendation and then voted 3-3 on a motion to approve, and then because that was a tie vote, there was a motion that was adopted to not make a recommendation to the council. Since then, the developer has submitted a revised plan set, which is on the screen and in your packet. And I believe they wanted to make some remarks about why they are proposing some changes, which at the staff level we support, and we think they address concerns that have been raised by individual Plan Commission members.
Okay, thank you, go ahead.
Mark Ott with, there we go, with JLA Architects. So yeah, we decided not to go forward with that design and go to council. As we always do, we're continuing behind the scenes to look at whole and construction numbers and et cetera. So, and we're getting feedback from our finance committee.
The one underneath. It obliges your ears.
All right. And working with WIDA and et cetera. And as we continue to do our due diligence that we do with projects, and kept looking through this and looked at some of the conditions that currently were in front of us for approval, the commercial space with the condition of being only, I think it was at a B1, use, and we started looking at that and looking at the real world possibility of, would we really get a tenant in there within a reasonable, period of time, so that our client Anthony isn't, holding an empty retail space, right? With those conditions, and again with the feedback we got from construction costs and WIDA's underwriting and et cetera, we came up with the decision to keep the same number of units, but really kind of address two things with one, taking those 2 units from the top floor, which the committee, I think, was one of the really sticking points when we were here a couple weeks ago, was that height along University, and taking that off there and putting them down in the commercial space on the first floor, which then addresses kind of the other concern, which was what is going to be in there, and do you have really enough parking, and how are people going to kind of come and go, and et cetera. So keeping the 39 proposed units that we were here for a couple of weeks ago, but just reshuffling it and addressing kind of 2 things at once. So what you see on the screen and in your packet is the new exterior design, which again is a 3-story building now along University Avenue. And as you see with the window changes, and we'll go through it really fast here, I won't labor on about it, putting residential down on the first floor. So as we kind of just scroll through here really quick, as we get to the first floor, here's where you can see where we took out the commercial space and put one bedroom, and the 2-bedroom will be smaller probably than that one. I think right now that's just it's a 1,300 square foot space. We'll probably put that into about 1,000 to 1,100 square foot 2-bedroom. There'll be some miscellaneous space left over that we're yet to plan with our in-house amenities. It could be a small fitness room. It could be a meeting room. It could be it'll be some type of amenity for the tenants only on the first floor. So then as we go through again and we get to the fourth floor, here you can see we've taken off those first two units, approximately 29 feet that we've moved the front face of the building back on the on the fourth floor back. So we've lost 29 feet total of upper building from face to the new current wall. So as we get into the imagery, I'll just run through some kind of history here. It might be interesting to see where we started out with our original proposal a couple months ago, where we were here a couple weeks ago, and now where we're here now. So I think, again, you can see kind of how far we've come and continuing to work with the committee, specifically working with David on his concerns and the concerns of the committee as a whole. So again, as we kind of look at this and we just kind of play the game of how far have we come, you can see that we've reduced obviously that corner too, but as you even toggle through some of these other ones, we've reduced the height from their first version on some of the other elements quite a bit. So we continue to, although it's a 4-story in part of the building and 3-story in others, we have continued to reduce the height of the building and the massing. As we kind of toggle through here, you can see the change from the storefronts that we had there to the residential type windows. Material would still stay the same on the base. Our construction method would change. It wouldn't be a through wall block there, but it would be a veneer instead, but the same block, same look. So we still get this sturdy base water table kind of look with the building, sitting on a very sturdy foundation with that masonry look all the way around the first floor. So not bringing down the other materials, but keeping a strong base. So again, just cycle through these real quick, and you can kind of see again how far we've come from the original down along the street. And so again, if we just kind of look what you'd see now. So with that, I guess I will kind of leave it up for discussion.
So David,
What's that?
are you happy with this now?
Oh, and cycling, sorry.
Okay.
I
Any,
think it sets a precedent for that kind of building along University Avenue.
Which precedent, the
yeah,
stepping back?
3-story rather than 4.
Right.
You have something to say, Kurt? How about you leave? Dennis,
I'm much happier with this than.
you're much happier with this one? Kathy?
I'm happy with it. I don't think it's probably any taller on University than what Sport Bowl is, because that,
Yeah, probably as tall as that grocery store, right?
Oh, this is a little taller.
Well, no, how do we
Little
calculate
taller
building
than
height
Fort
again?
Ball.
Sorry.
Sport Bowl?
A little bit taller? Yeah,
I
go
haven't
ahead.
measured Sport Bowl, but it's got that big arch, and it's a 2-story building.
Oh, yeah.
Whether the arch goes a little higher, I can't recall, but this is a 4-story building. But it's been reduced in height, and especially they took 3 feet off the entire building. Saw that as he was toggling through the different elevations. The 3-foot height is because they no longer have to provide the higher ceiling height on ground level to accommodate commercial space, which you touched on. Correct.
Okay, so you said 3 feet there as well, so.
Yeah, so that has reduced the overall height throughout the project.
Yeah, I think I kind of went quickly through that.
Yeah, and that's a huge, and not only is that it reduced the mass, but it also frankly reduces their expenses.
So I would
Yes,
recommend approval to the council for rezoning to PDD GIP for a 39-unit apartment building, contingent on the following issues as listed in the staff comments.
Okay,
I'll second.
Okay.
questions? Any further discussion? Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'm going to call the question, and all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Wow, so big change, so. Okay, we are on to item number, and thank you for working with David and I'm sure you worked with the neighbors. You're keeping everybody happy there?
We're trying,
Okay,
we're trying.
okay. Yeah, it's important to keep everyone happy, listen to them, so. Okay, item number 12.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah, keep working with the staff and everybody else, so.
This next one.
Okay, so the next one is a request for conditional use permit for a hospital.
And this is what was deferred from the last meeting, and we talked about it a little bit at the last meeting. Abby had a PowerPoint, and she also has some recommendations in the staff comments about the conditional use. Approve it with a waiver of the traffic impact analysis, contingent upon police department approval of the building security plan. And I also think it should be with a finding that it's an appropriate land use for this area in terms of the way the building scales, the massing, similar traffic is generated as in the business park. So that's, I guess, with some findings that it's appropriate. She also had a quote from the comp plan at the PowerPoint a couple weeks ago, which we said in 2006, as Middleton and its neighboring communities continue to grow, the construction of new or expanded health care facilities is anticipated. The goal will strive to provide Middleton residents with access to education, health and recreation services, and opportunities to help promote active lifestyles and physical and mental health. That was one quote directly from the Plan Commission, or the comp plan.
Can I ask the waiver of the traffic impact, because it's part of the impact's already been done for the whole development?
And the thing is, it's very similar to, a conditional use permit kicks in the requirement for traffic impact analysis, but in this case, this is a use that's very similar to what's happening out there with the number of employees, the type of traffic that would be generated from it. So, city staff, engineering staff felt that it, would they be supportive of a waiver for it?
Yeah, but you're adding 72 bed there. There are a lot of people coming and going, so why wouldn't you want?
Well, again, it's in terms of the number of trips generated from it, though. It would be very similar to, for instance, a 300 employee office building or manufacturing facility that might be there. They're gonna have a couple hundred employees. I don't know how many are gonna be there at any one time, but you know, even with visitors, there's not gonna be.
But we're asking high side for TIA, are we not?
No, I don't think so.
I thought
High site
we
is
are.
High site's already zoned.
It's already been through the GIP process, would have
Yeah,
required
it's
But
not a
TIA.
conditional use.
Did
It's-
we not ask them for
No,
TIA?
what kicks in the traffic impact analysis is either a rezoning or a conditional use permit. And there are certain conditional use permits where they're very similar to the types of uses, and it's not necessarily required. And this isn't the first time where engineering staff has said, we don't think there needs to be a traffic impact analysis. It's going to function very similar to the other uses that are out there.
The permitted uses in the
To
GIP.
the permitted uses in the GIP, thank you for clarifying that.
But we got those 39 units, we are asking for TIA for that purpose.
Right,
That's
because
a
that's a
rezoning.
rezoning, so, and this one is not. It's a conditional use,
Okay.
but it's a matter of degree, it's a matter of what type of use it is. So staff looks at that and determines, is this going to make,
So are you saying that the trips generated and all that traffic is not of any consequence here?
what I'm saying is it's very similar to the permitted uses that are there, the existing uses that are there, and any that could come. It's very similar to what could be here if a conditional use wasn't proposed for a hospital. Again, it could be a 90,000 square foot manufacturing facility with 400 employees. We wouldn't ask for a traffic impact analysis because we wouldn't have a mechanism to do that. We don't have a requirement for that. So
Okay.
city staff discussed it and said, this is similar in nature to other permitted uses in the area.
So I'll move approval, conditional use permit with a waiver of traffic impact analysis, but contingent on police department approval of building security.
Second.
And do you want to have the findings that it's compatible and, okay.
Oh,
And
please.
direct staff according to
All the staff.
Act 67 of Wisconsin, 2017.
Okay.
Now,
To
what
make
is the,
findings of substantive, based
Okay.
on the evidence, whatever is the.
what is the possibility that our chief will actually approve the security plan? I think that's going to be a tough sell.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
And you got Matt's, we didn't talk about it, but you got Matt Fleming's, letter about
Sure did.
about the, role of the plan
Very
commission
close.
looking at it. So we're looking at it as any other land use.
And, I mean, I think one of the reasons we deferred this is we wanted to get guidance from our city council as to whether they would consider this to be a conditional use. And they added it as a conditional use in the zoning ordinance, but didn't specify any particular conditions that it needed to meet, other than those normally enumerated for conditional uses in our ordinance.
Well, I went through the Matt Fleming's letter 2-3 times. I guess you can make a head and tail of it, right?
Oh, no, I think it's very well written, very well laid out.
Well, he didn't say one way or the other, so.
Well, he's telling the planning commission what to look for. And
And
what their role is.
the reason I also asked for it is I was aware of Act 67, the change in state laws. Some municipalities used to treat conditional uses as maybe we will, maybe we won't. It's conditional. And the state legislature, for good or for ill, depending on your perspective, has decided that a conditional use is really something that we intend to permit. It's just subject to additional conditions and review and restrictions.
Anybody said anything about bicycles? Cycling to the site?
I mean, for employees or?
That's a good.
Well,
idea to add
wouldn't it be
some-
required on the ordinance?
We don't have a official ordinance for bicycle parking. We certainly work with, I didn't review the site plan in this case, but Abby usually catches this. So I think if you wanted to make sure there was a provision for bicycle parking, I would include that in your design review.
Like a friendly
I
amendment.
think that's a very good
Yeah.
And that
idea.
would be under number 13 then.
Yeah, that would be the next item.
Yeah, under the SIP.
Oh, that's okay. I just want to get it in the
Well,
wrong.
it's good to be ahead than,
It is good to be.
than not. Then.
Obviously, the clients are unlikely to bicycle here, I would think, but employees and visitors would be, we certainly want to look out for their parking needs.
Chief cycling along with handcuffs on one.
Their idea is not to have handcuffs.
Well, the chief, you know, he does ride bike. I have seen him multiple times. I run into him, so when I go for a walk and find chief, he's on his bike, so, but without uniform, so.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Dennis, Kathy, David, Leaf? Okay, all right. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously, so.
And I think that bike comment is a very good one to put. for
Yes.
The SIP and design review. And Abby also has a list of recommendations, just resolution of engineering staff comments or recommendations, which I think were in your packet. If they weren't, they're continually being revised as applicant submits revisions, and the use of LED exterior lighting. And then you could add bike racks.
So moved. Second. Subject to the, adding the bike.
Well, adding,
And the lighting and the
and
staff
lighting,
comments, as enumerated by Eileen.
and then there are going to be 1 or 2 driveways.
They're proposing.
It says, the
Right.
project meets the city's bicycle parking.
So are we going with the?
I would just direct David on page 6 of the staff comments.
Hmm.
It says, this project meets the city's vehicle and bicycle parking requirements, so. Even though I can't see it on the site
There
plan,
you go.
presumably it's somewhere.
I figured she would catch that.
Oh, that's the driveway, right. In other cases, planning commission has recommended 2 driveway access points, which is true. And most of the developed properties on the north and south side of Cassiopeia. So typically, it's just a preferred way to distribute the traffic and the traffic flow on a site. Even though the engineering staff, that is their policy, actually the adopted policy of the city. But a lot of times, it just makes a lot of sense to have 2. And the planning commission has approved it before, and they need to stick with, their recommendation that we only have 1, but.
Wait, can you clarify that? Mark, show the site plan, Mark's moving around here.
I'm trying
The-
to zoom in on the site.
The current site plan shows 1 drive, scroll down.
I'm coming. I've learned.
It
how
shows
to-
1 driveway,
Correct.
which, is that a,
2, it shows 2.
No, it shows 2.
It shows 2, okay.
West and east.
Oh, I
And
thought it
that's,
was
okay.
one.
And that's all that's required under the ordinance.
Well, one is,
Well, normally one would be allowed, and so that's why the engineering staff is saying our policy really only says one driveway per, unless you generate so many trips per hour that you really need two.
Okay.
But a lot of the uses in this area have gotten two approved, again, because of the traffic flow on the site and the wish, the desire to distribute the traffic leaving the site and.
Does that,
And it goes
does
back
that
to
affect the
David's
security
comment.
plan? No, I didn't think so.
and you see the 16 bike stalls there now, right? If you go north of the western,
Yeah, yeah.
western driveway, go
Right
due
here.
north.
Okay.
As you approach the building, 16 bike stalls.
So, yeah, there are bikes, Dennis.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Is,
there.
where, on that drawing that you've got in front of you right now, is the little bit that sticks out across the roadway, across the drop-off roadway onto the grass, is that the frontispiece building?
You're referring to here?
Yeah, right.
That's the, isn't that like a porte cochere?
I'm thinking.
Something
You have the
like that.
elevation.
Go
Like
back
an
to-
awning.
Call it, yeah.
Can you go back to the photo, the images that you've got there, Mark?
Yes.
I think it's just down from here.
Well, I think they're quite a ways down.
Yeah.
I've learned that which keys to use so that it doesn't go haywire. I can see how Abby had expertise driving the computer, but it's been a learning curve for me tonight.
Well, you are doing
Well,
pretty good.
thank you for doing it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Keep going.
Well, this is,
This is it here.
that's the south elevation, so I would think you'd
Yeah,
see it
yeah.
there. But you want to see a side elevation, so
Image coming
let's,
up.
let's go to, okay, east.
No, I'm not interested in the elevation, I'm interested in the image.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right.
It's coming up.
Right,
Yep,
right,
I know
right.
what you mean. It's at the last page, I think.
There we
Oh,
go.
there it is.
There.
Now,
That's really for visitors.
is that same?
I don't think so.
I don't think that's the same thing. What I was looking for was the west
Maybe
elevation.
there's another one though. of
I thought there was only that one, but maybe, let me just find it
It's
here.
facing south, isn't it?
This is probably the north, yeah, that's the north elevation.
Yeah.
So here, so this one is the
One right above this is what you want.
east elevation. Yeah, I don't know.
Go up one, Mark.
Is that it's like an awning for
Yep.
drop-off?
Next one, there you go. And here it is, right here.
Yeah, but that's on the south elevation, that's the one we were just looking
Yeah,
at.
no, I
Yeah.
think David's right.
But
Here,
the,
here it is. I think it's this.
okay.
Okay, what we were just
Okay.
looking at though is the,
So from the east,
So
it's
that,
harder to pick up, but it would be on the left side of the building, so it's right
It's right there.
in this area. It's
If you
really
look at the
hard
north elevation,
The north
next
ele-
one?
Oh, the next one.
it's right
Oh,
there.
there it
There
is.
it
Way at the left.
Well, actually, that doesn't make sense because the north is the north side, that's the back of the building.
is the back of the
but that's
building,
on-
I
yeah.
wonder if these are
East side of the
mislabeled.
building.
Are these mislabeled?
No,
No?
That sticks out on the east side.
I guess what made me look at it was that the floor plan shows the road going through the porte cochere.
May I address that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Rob Elsner, Director of Corporate Construction. What you're looking at there are two basic entrances into the facility. One, which was that you're mainly looking at, the one right there with the timbers, the big wooden timbers, that's the main visitor, staff, whatever entry. The one that you're looking at that has a little bit of an aluminum posted awning, that is the ambulance or police drop-off area, okay?
On the south side of the building.
It's on the same side as the front. If you're facing that elevation, here's the
here?
main entrance with timbers.
Okay.
It's
And
this.
about 40 yards to the right.
Is this where the
it's
arrow is?
stonework, yes, exactly where the arrow is.
And what is this?
What is, that's a little overhang that's the side of another building. That's actually just an overlap
Okay.
on another side. The building ends where the brick is, you're kind of just catching the piece of another.
Gotcha.
So where the arrow is.
Where the arrow is what we consider
That's
our
where there
ambulance
is-
secure drop-off.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, that's where, law enforcement would come, and the idea is to have a separate ambulance or police entrance rather than somebody who's visiting or applying for a job.
I thought the plan was to have that at the back to begin with, or not?
I don't believe that's ever been changed. It's always been there. The back, the way the building is arranged is everybody comes in from the front. The back is the units. That's where everything is. All the security and all the various units are there. Up front is the intake, assessment, screening. That's where they, wand patients, do skin searches for any objects and so forth. So that's all done on that far right side where the ambulance entrance is. Okay?
Thank you.
Your questions while I'm here?
Any questions for him? Kurt?
Oh, okay. I see it. I see it now.
Yeah, that's just the driveway coming through there
Yes,
as a
yep.
little entry point.
Makes perfect
just for
sense
protected
now.
covered. We put
Making us
we got
dizzy.
little heaters under there and
Yes,
things like that.
I'm getting a little dizzy too.
It is, there's a lot of lines on there.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And yes, we absolutely do put bike racks in all our facilities anyway.
Good.
And that paving or path, whatever it is, goes all the way out to the street from that entrance?
It just goes into the main driveway. It just goes right under the, under that awning.
Are you asking about a sidewalk, David?
From the main entrance, what you're telling me is the main entrance? No, that's here, isn't it?
No.
This is the drop-off, main entrance, I believe, is here
No,
by
go to
the
the right a little
handicap.
bit. It's actually the sidewalk.
Or it's right here.
Right, that's the main entrance. What's not showing on this drawing is like the big timbers and the covered porch and so forth.
Okay.
So that's the main walkway. The driveway is to allow, like I said, police and ambulance just to circumnavigate through there back into the parking lot.
So the walkway from there goes all the way to the street, except for the last bit.
Right here, yeah.
So can it go to the street, please?
I
Has
think,
to, it can.
yeah, Abby talked with, I did hear her talk about that. And I don't remember if she put that in her staff comments or not, but I agree with that.
Could go to the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. We modify the,
Good catch.
modify the motion to add that the
Yeah, I don't see that in her.
sidewalk on the west side should go to the street.
It has to go to the street.
Well, for any pedestrian or transit use,
And there's existing sidewalk on the street.
right.
We can do that.
You can do that?
Civil engineer's right there, said he'll do it. So
Sorry to deal with such a pedestrian issue.
that's okay. We're here to make it work right.
Just reinforces the connection.
Yeah.
Understand. It's a minor issue for us, absolutely.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Dennis?
No, I'm fine.
Kathy? Kurt, you are happy? Okay, so I'm going to call the questions. So all those in favor of the SIP modification and design review for the Miramont Behavioral Health 3169 Deming Way, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously.
I just want to clarify something. Does that include the ability to put that second as shown here?
Well, it's a recommended SIP
Right.
approval as, yeah, so the staff comments allowed the second driveway, right? But SIP to be recorded has to go to council.
It'll
Yeah.
go to the council, yeah.
Okay, we are on to item number 14, set a public hearing, request for conditional use permit for Abra Middleton 8026 for City Hall.
For May 22nd, 2018.
Okay,
So moved.
We need a time, don't we?
Well, I thought you could just say for that date and then we'll.
7:05 PM.
7:05, all right.
okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed, motion passes and need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
No, we want to stay.
Thank you, great job, guys.